Uh, Hi everyone, I'm Michael Tyson. This is Mobile Growth Podcast where we discuss how to launch, grow, and successfully monetize mobile apps. And today we're speaking with Sabina Shukyurova, analytics lead at gaming at Google. Sabina,
Hi guys.
hi Sabina. So I know you have extensive experience with some large clients in fintech, in mobile verticals. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your experience, maybe name some brands, some companies that you worked with.
Yeah, sure. So currently I work with gaming companies in the UK market. So probably the most famous of them would be Activision Blizzard King, Gram, and a couple of those. And previously I had experience with fintech. And actually probably one of the most known fintechs would be Paysend, which is also a British company, but I used to work with them also some time before. So yeah, all of these clients are quite focused on apps, so particularly apps and gaming, and also fintech clients were also betting quite a lot on app products.
Got it. So I guess the most interesting things to our listeners about Google App Campaigns, how to work with them, what to do and what not to do with Google App Campaigns. But let's start first with just explaining what are Google App Campaigns. Is it the same like Google Ads just for mobile apps? Is there any difference?
Yeah, so just to explain, Google Ads is generally an advertising service provided by Google for businesses that actually want to display their ads on a lot of different types of inventories. So this could be Google search, this could be the advertising network, and also for advertisers that have different products themselves. So this could be their websites, this could be their apps, and so on. And Google App Campaigns is part of these products provided by Google Ads, and those are aimed to promote the app product specifically. So if you as a business do have an app and you want this app to be discovered by other users, you want it to be installed, or you want to drive more actions into your app, then Google App Campaigns would be one of the most go-to options for you.
And what prerequisites, basically, what do you need to start acquiring users with Google App Campaigns? What are the creatives that you need to launch it? Maybe anything else?
Yeah, I'd probably say that a good thing to start is always to read a little bit about app campaigns. You can use the Google Help Center, or for example, you can just go to YouTube, to Google Ads channel, and look for a couple of Google Ad tutorials. So I'd say that all the time, a good starting point would be just to collect a little bit of information and make sure that you know how this product works. But speaking generally, I would say that Google App Campaigns is probably one of the simplest products to work with and to launch because it is heavily relying on automation and machine learning, and it doesn't require lots of manual inputs on your side. So basically, when you're launching a Google App Campaign, you would need to have some kind of ad assets. So for example, these could be videos, images, text, and so on. Some of them are automatically, again, sourced from your Google Play, but it's always necessary to have, and it's always a good idea to have some of these assets prepared by yourself. And then what the Google Ads with the help of Google App Campaigns does, it combines these different assets into various ads and puts them into lots of different inventory and tries to find which one works best according to your goal. So like the primary prerequisite is, of course, to have some kind of assets that you want to start with. But of course, I'd say that it's important to understand what you want to achieve with the help of these app campaigns. So, for example, you could strive to have more installs, and you're primarily aiming now to get the user base. Or, for example, you need to drive a specific action for probably between your new users or among those that already have this app. So I'd say that these things should be thought a bit in advance. But yeah, just in terms of the technical things, this would be the assets themselves. Of course, your Google Ads account. And yeah, of course, just start with a little bit of reading and immersing into the world of app campaigns.
Yeah, sure. But still, if you're just launching a mobile app, is there any like specific advice you can give? Maybe in this targeting, you still, I guess, can target how, like, what's the main purpose of the campaign? Is it like number of installs or some in-app action and stuff like that? Do you have any like maybe advice on what to start with if you're just launching a new mobile app?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. So we have different types of app campaigns that are focused on different goals. So if you're just starting completely from scratch and you know that your app is not that mature, it's a very good idea to start just with app campaigns for installs. And also what you mentioned, and it's actually quite an important point, is what is the optimization goal for your campaign. So you could have a variety of them, and setting your campaign to optimize for just the installs and the number of installs at the very beginning could be one of your goals. So like for sure, I cannot say that this is just a universal one-size-fits-all approach, because of course we might have different situation with the different businesses. But generally, I'd say that if you just start with your app, then your basic idea would be to get the user base as the first step. And for this reason, launching app campaign for installs and optimizing them towards getting lots of installs, so towards your CPI, cost per install, would be the first step.
Yeah, got it. Makes sense. And in terms of creatives, what works best in creatives? And first of all, I think it's super interesting to learn, like, do you need video assets, or you can start just with, like, I don't know, a picture and some CTA, some text there?
Technically, you could start without that, but I'd say that this is also a must, that you have some of your video assets. And basically the principle how app campaigns are working is that the more creative, the more assets you have, the more efficient your campaign would be. Because how this works, the campaign needs to have lots of different assets to make different combinations. So they combines together these assets to make an ad. And then they try to go with this ad into different inventories, pods, and appeal to different audiences. So the more of the assets you would have means that the more different ads you will have. And then the higher chance is that you will have your goals fulfilled.
Yeah,
so
but
yeah.
How many to start with? Let's say you have some, I don't know, limited budget to begin with. And especially if we are talking about like producing some videos, it's a video content. I don't know, is it like 5 or 10? Is it enough to start, or you should aim higher from the beginning?
There is no specific cutoff line. As far as I know, like in our documentaries, we have something like just start with one vertical and one landscape video. So this would be like absolutely a must. But then, of course, the more you have, the better.
Got it. And tell us a little bit about like the details of these creatives. What are some good practices? What people should be doing, and probably what they should not be doing. What doesn't work and what works according to Google's own algorithms to your expertise and knowledge.
Yeah, so I'd say that The most insights just come from testing, and this is how Google also got a couple of insights, just like by running lots of testing and experiments. So I can share a couple of the findings that we recently had in a number of verticals. So if we're talking about creatives, the first recommendation would be called as make the app the ad, which means that this is the app that you should be advertising in your creatives. This means that people should understand what app experience you offer, what this app does, and will be able to look into this interface itself. So just like showcasing your app, explaining why they need them is a very good idea, not just talking.
Sorry for interrupting, but it's super interesting to me. Is it like a requirement? You must include actual like game screens or app screens, or it's just a recommendation and you can still go with something completely generic and some text over it?
It's always a recommendation. It's always a recommendation, and there are like almost no like harsh requirements for running ad campaigns. Most of those would be recommendations, but this is basically what have been found as efficient for a number of clients or a number of verticals. So this is kind of a recommendation that seems to be working for at least a big chunk of advertisers now.
Got it. So I'm sorry I interrupted you. You were talking about like.
Yeah, sure. Go on. I'm here to be interrupted by you. So yeah, just like. So like another one that I could probably highlight is that the visuals that you do in your video should be able to tell a story, even if the sound is off. So quite often we see that the creatives like the video creatives that show the good storyline, which is easily understandable and kind of drives the action. This works much better than some kind of separate video images with no clear story, which is only understandable when you turn the sound on and try to be very focused. This is actually very much understandable in general. So if you want your potential users to use your app and you want them to quickly grasp the idea of what it does, then for sure you should market your app and you should be very clear in the story of what you're offering. So this would be also one of those.
So you got to have good creatives. You should use sound, and basically it should be like it should work both without a sound and with a sound. What else? What else are like critical, useful insights for good creatives for a successful campaign?
I'd say also branding. So it's a very good idea to show the branding, like the name of your brand or your logo early on in your video campaign and in your video for app campaign. And what has also been found to be efficient is, for example, when you try to incorporate your logo into the app interface in the app ad. And even if this logo is not present in the real app, it's still okay. So for example, you're showing the screen of your app, how it's working, and there is this logo of you incorporated. And in this way, this is kind of a very subtle and at the same time efficient way to showcase your logo, to showcase your campaign and make your potential user remember it. And at the same time, it's not very annoying. So it's not like that you have like several seconds of your brand and the video, like the client is still interested in what the app is doing. The user is interested, and at the same time, they kind of see what the company is.
Does this apply just for large brands? Let's say you are talking about some indie app, small app. Does it make sense to still to promote your brand? Is it actually helps to increase, I don't know, CTR install rate because it kind of creates some trust that there is some brand behind it, or it just for larger companies, maybe well-known gaming companies, so people are aware of the brand?
No, it's actually for everyone. And I'd say that probably for larger companies, it's not even that important. So for example, if we're talking about gaming, then clients, the users, they usually choose the game by the game and not by the developer. And this is just the general idea. So if you want to make your app and your brand known, if you want to establish some kind of trust and at the same time increase the awareness about your product, it's a very good idea to incorporate the name and the logo of your app, because like this is how the users will remember you, and this is how they will later search for you, even if they do not make the install right away. But the thing is that it's a good idea to make it some kind of subtle and in an elegant way. So probably incorporating this into the interface is a good idea, rather than just interrupting the whole visual experience with your branding.
Got it. All right. So we talked a little bit about what to do and how to create interesting and working creatives. Let's talk about what not to do. Do you have some advice on like bad practices, what people should try to avoid when they're launching their ad campaigns?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question of what not to do, because in most of my experience, people just really ask like what should be done, but never ask like what to avoid. But this is a very efficient question, I'd say.
Yeah.
So I would say that how, like, despite that it sounds like very simple, the top one mistake would be just incorrect settings. So what you need to avoid is rushing into just creating your app campaign without reading properly some of the documentation on it and some of the best practices. So quite often the campaigns are not working well just because it is not set up correctly, or like some kind of hygiene recommendations are not fulfilled. So, for example, just make sure that you choose the right conversion event that you want to optimize towards. So, for example, if we want to optimize towards some kind of action, let's say it's some kind of subscription in your app, you should make sure that it happens quite often, that it happens with some kind of frequency threshold, which is enough for the algorithm to work with it. So to build some kind of prognosis based on this, and just to go into the right direction with this event. So if you're just like choosing the event that happens just a couple of times a week, this wouldn't work. So what you need to do is just to read carefully on the recommendations of what the frequency should be for the event. Or, for example, some of the hygiene recommendations would also include some CPA budget ratio. So apart from your event just happening quite frequently, you should have enough of the daily budget for this event to be captured and to happen. So things like this, just the frequency, the budget ratios, the correct installs, everything which is recommended in Google Help Center, I really recommend to have a look at that and study this. So this would be probably top one. Just
read the docs, everyone. Just read the docs. Okay, so what's the next one? Are there anything else to remember?
Actually, the other one, we briefly touched this upon in the beginning. This would be kind of the right choice of the campaign type and alignment of this to the goals that you would like to have. So, for example, if at this point of your campaign app promotion and your business life cycle, if the number of users is the top one thing, then you should go for app campaign for installs and set it for installs. If you see that you have quite a substantial user base, and currently for your business, some types of actions are of paramount importance, then just focus more on those. And if, for example, you know that you have some challenges with re-engaging your clients that already do have your app, but for example, they have some substantial churn rate, they just do not open your app after a while, then a completely different type, so app campaigns for re-engagement, so app campaigns for those who already do have your app installed would be the most relevant. So just aligning these Google products that are available to your goals, to your business goals, would be the second thing that is really important.
Got it. By the way, do you know maybe if Google publishes some like benchmarks, like what should be the cost of install, let's say, for a specific country? Are there any ways for developers to figure out if how do they even know if they are doing good or bad with app campaigns? Are they getting the right price for install for some in-app action? What's the way to figure this out?
There are no benchmarks or things like that published, because this is like goes very different by vertical, and actually it changes all the time. So the basis of this financial process is just like the auction. So for this reason, it's not like a set price which is set for app campaign or for for some type of days of app campaigns or for some type of conversion. It's just like all auction based, and this also depends on how quality of your ads are, and lots of different factors. So because of these auction based things, we do not have any benchmark published or something that you could estimate as good or bad. But the basic idea would be just to start counting on your unit economy and whether it works for you or not. So just like going from your business and business numbers would be probably the most right thing to do.
Yeah, I got it. So essentially you have to see if it works for you, if the unit economics makes sense for your app, if you are breaking even, if you are earning money basically on your advertising spend.
Yeah, and especially because that it also will depend on the volume. So for example, you might have quite a low and very attractive CPI, for example, but this means that you're only able to get quite a low number of installs at this price because you're winning just like this number of auctions. So this would not make sense in terms of comparison, because quite often it is the case the bigger the advertiser goes, it taps into more audience and more segments and gets like more price.
Yeah, so it really depends on volume, and if you want to scale, you might have like good numbers at like 100 installs, but when you 10 times it, it's actually much more expensive to acquire this user.
So this is all about eventually ties to the unit economics and to just like the business functioning of each advertiser, because you might have like a very nice CPI, but if you're not breaking even because of their volume, that wouldn't be good for you.
Got it. Is that all? Are there any other advices of what not to do with Google App campaigns?
I can probably name a couple of others. So probably what not to do would be not to be very inconsiderate about your creatives. So quite often advertisers think that once you have made a couple of creatives and have launched your app campaigns, then it's gonna work forever and it's gonna be fine. But the thing is that the creatives have this tendency to burn out. So the audience gets kind of tired of the creatives, and also the new creatives from competitors are coming in. So it's a good idea to renew your creatives, to update them once in a while.
Exactly, like what would that be? Is it like once per month, once, I don't know, every 3 months? What's the recommendation here?
you're actually very close to the recommendation. So yeah, like the recommendation would be once in 3-4 months. So like 3-4 times a year would be something which is like really recommended. If it's really tough for you, of course, you can make it less frequently. But yeah, you should just understand that this is like one of the very prioritized things, and it's not a good idea just to leave it for a year.
Can you actually reuse your previous stuff? Like if you have a new set of ads, of creatives, then 3 months later, a new set of creatives, can you actually, after that, use your like half a year ago creatives, or you should always create new stuff?
It depends on like how you variate on these creatives. I would probably not recommend just like taking something that has been there like a year ago or something like that.
Yeah.
Also because your audience might have already seen this and they didn't buy this, so like this creative didn't appeal to them. And regarding the update of the creatives, it doesn't mean that they should be completely all the time new, very expensive creatives. If you just make some kind of minor adjustments to them, or if you make the creatives that are good in terms of how you market your app and so on, but are not very pricey, this is still a very good way to do it.
Got it. That makes perfect sense. I don't have like any other questions. Maybe if you have anything you personally would like to share about Google app campaigns or anything else. By the way, nice meeting room. Where is that?
It's one of the meeting rooms in the Google office. I know it looks a little bit fancy, but yeah, it's just like right in the office. Yeah, like going back to your question about app campaigns, I'd probably stress that creatives is one of the most important things for app campaigns, because since they are automated and since they are relying on machine learning quite a lot, you do not have a lot of manual levers to adjust. So for example, you do not do keywords in app campaigns. This is completely absent. And this is the lever with which you could make these campaigns more efficient. And according to internal studies, we say that about 60 to 70% of app campaign success could be could be driven by creatives. So this is like a really important thing to focus on. And probably another point, which is a good thing to always remember, not only actually for app campaigns, but for all of your campaigns, is that if you're going into different markets, if you're going into some expert markets, it's always a good idea to make some kind of localization. And this could be like in all of the types of that could be. So like, first of all, you need to analyze the market financially and to understand like the economics of this. And also in terms of your app campaigns and creatives as well, it's a very good idea to kind of add some local flavor to your creative. This might work better.
Got it. Listen, thanks so much for joining us today. Maybe how our listeners can find you online, Twitter, LinkedIn. What's the best way to connect with you if they have any questions, if you do have any online presence?
I do not have the opportunity to answer to questions directly online, but I think probably it's a good idea to add a couple of resources that might be useful for them to read in the description or something like that.
Got it. Sabina, thanks so much for coming here today.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.